What's happening? Welcome to Wongnotes Podcast, Season 2, Episode 4. Today my guest is Tom Misch. If you're unfamiliar with Tom, he's one of the leading voices in his genre, in his generation, from I don't have a thing for London. Anyways, Tom and I have collaborated on a couple tunes. Here's a quick sample of the first tune we wrote together, Cosmic Sands. And here's a sample of a tune off of my brand new album, the Striped album. This is a tune called Smooth Move. All right, hopefully that compelled you enough to go listen to my album and buy all my music whenever I put it out. And his as well. So without further ado, here's my interview with Tom Misch. This season of the Wongnotes podcast is sponsored by Neural DSP. All Wongnotes listeners get 30% off with the voucher code WONG. Neural DSP creates industry-leading guitar and bass plugins. The range includes signature plugins from some of the best modern guitarists, such as Cory, Wong, Plini, Adam Nolly Getgood, and Tosin Abasi. The archetype Cory Wong gives you everything from crystal clear tones to edge of breakup blues tones, whereas the 14-amp series delivers all the crushing modern metal tones you could possibly need. And that Nameless is my favorite Marshall amp ever. There's a plugin here for every type of player, and you can get a 14-day free trial for every single one of them without even entering your credit card details. Find me another company doing that. Once you've found the ones you like, you get that 30% off your purchase by entering the code WONG at checkout. Well, Tom, thanks so much for being with us. It's really a treat to have you on.
Thank you for having me, man. How's it going?
I'm doing good. I'm chilling, man. We're hanging in there. How about you? You just moved. I see you in a new place that I don't recognize.
Yes. Yeah, I just moved to a new house. And I just carried a fridge up the stairs with the help of some other people. And yeah, man, feeling good. Happy to be here.
Nice. Well, we've had the joy of meeting each other and hanging out. And every time we've met, we've just hung out for like a couple hours and played music and talked a little bit. And yeah, we haven't actually spent a lot of time just sitting down and talking music, talking concept together. So I'm excited about this. Although it is always fun when we just get together and start playing music right away.
Yeah, definitely, man.
But this will be good. This is fun for me to pick your brain on some things that I've been wondering about this whole time. I was watching some older interviews of you. I've been reading a lot about your stuff and just trying to get an idea of how you got your start doing what you do. It was all internet. You didn't start by having a band and then hitting things online. It was all just starting from the internet. Is that right?
Yeah, it was all, it was like 2016, 2015, and I was making beats. I was studying music technology at school, and I was making beats. And at this point, I played the violin. I started playing violin when I was 4. I played guitar. I had been playing guitar for a few years, so I had that kind of musicality element, and then I was just making beats. I was obsessed with Jay Dilla, and that was I was part of that SoundCloud community. You could say the sort of the golden age of SoundCloud, and yeah, man, that's where it all started. And and the guitar has always been a part of that. Me making beats and stuff, and then I started singing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So I go through the whole. Yeah, I mean, so I started singing, and then I guess my music became more, it became less beats and more song structured stuff, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting listening to the catalog that you've released, Beat Tape 1, Beat Tape 2, Geography, your most current album, What Kind of Music with Yusef Days. Was there a songwriting and recording process that was different in making those albums?
Yeah, they're all quite a different process. They've happened at different times in my career, and I've sort of evolved as a musician and stuff. So I guess Beat Tape 1 was purely done in my bedroom at my parents' house. And that was kind of focused around, Jay Dilla inspired music. So finding a loop, that was like really finding a loop that I love. Where, it's chord progressions, things like that, and subtle changes and getting the swing of the drums, that was like something so important on that tape. That I was obsessed with. Hi-hat, the placement of the hi-hats in relation to the kick and snare and things like that. And then Beat Tape 2 was like a evolution of that, but with me starting inviting people to the bedroom studio. So people would come in and I'd have productions and they'd sing over stuff and we just vibe on that. But this had a few more influences that I was getting into. It had a bit of electronic music, a bit of like housey stuff, a bit of jazz. And then geography was the next step. But that was me singing, sort of me stepping up as sort of frontman, singer-songwriter.
Was that the first album where you felt like, I'm a lead singer now?
I guess so, yeah. I think it was, man, because I had sung before that, but that was kind of like my debut album, you know, with me singing and writing lyrics and stuff like that. So that was interesting, taking that step. But it's always, I never want to just rely on my singing and I never quite want to just rely on the songs. I want to rely on production and stuff as well, because I'm into that, you know. I love producing, and that's part of my sound is the production, you know.
Yeah. And how has your guitar playing and the approach to your guitar playing changed through the evolution of that, the evolution from that era to where you are now?
I think I've become more of a conventional guitar player than when I started playing guitar. I think the more music I've listened to and the more I've played in bands and stuff, I've kind of found my role sonically as a guitarist more than I had in previous stuff. So in Beat Tape, when I was using the guitar, is like, it was more kind of like loads of little textures and stuff built up, right? Mm-hmm. Sort of like high twinkly stuff. And nowadays it's more, you know, I'm fitting in as a rhythm guitarist almost within my own music a bit more. It's kind of different approaches. And then jamming with Yusuf is just completely different, man. I'm trying to impress him by playing sort of like crazy shit, and maybe there's a bit of vice versa, you know. So that's different, man.
Yeah. That's cool. I definitely recognize that. I mean, it's funny because a lot of the guitar playing on the Beat Tapes feels like either textural or like you're simulating samples. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's it, man. Beat Tape 1 was that vibe of like, because Jay Dilla obviously sampled so much, you know, jazz guitar and stuff. And at the time I was studying jazz guitar, so I'd try and play that stuff in, you know.
That's cool. As far as you talked about your writing process, your production process, singing, the guitar playing, it all kind of depends on one another in the whole thing. It seems like your albums and what you do as an artist, it is a full package thing that all goes into the thing.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the producing side or the singing side, would you approach your guitar playing differently?
I think so. I think I would subconsciously. It's funny. I don't really think. I never really think about these things.
Sure.
And I find it hard to put them into words because I kind of just like, music's never been a intellectual or like kind of something that I've thought about too much. But I think it's definitely influenced the way I play guitar. Often I'm kind of just jamming over beats, you know, like I spend a lot of time doing that, just jamming. And I guess that's probably why initially I wasn't so much of a conventional guitar player. You know, I wouldn't necessarily be playing like the sort of conventional chords and licks and stuff. It would be more like just jamming over stuff.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that in the times that we've played together where we'll sit and play on something. Yeah. And I can tell you, I can see your motor moving and like, oh, is this a textural thing? What kind of vibe is this thing? And then you go for things. And it's fun to watch your creative process as you just figure out sound palette, texture palette, and then rhythmic groove palette where you sit in the beat. You've got a really cool way that I've watched you kind of pull from all those different things. It's fun.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, I guess just influenced by the stuff that I listen to, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, man, of course, yeah.
Well, you mentioned the SoundCloud community and the golden age of SoundCloud. And that is something that I definitely was around for, but I was totally just not in that thing. And I think it was just one of those platforms that while it had its golden age, I didn't quite understand it. Yeah. And I just didn't put my energy there. So I'm kind of out of the loop on what that is. Is there something that replaced that now?
No, not really. I mean, Spotify, I feel like, has taken that role as the streaming place, you know, and discovering new music. Spotify has amazing algorithms for like finding related music. But SoundCloud was like that kind of DIY place where you could make a name for yourself by just putting stuff online, uploading it, no industry links, no kind of like connections. It's literally just, if someone likes it, they're going to repost it. And if they repost it, their followers see it. And it's just that kind of process. And I just, that was like the birth of me as an artist, was like being on SoundCloud, getting to know the people who followed me, not literally, but just, knowing their little icon and their name, and then commenting on my stuff like, this is sick or something. And then I was kind of, it's sort of quite addictive, that the feedback that you'd get. And then I kind of just upload stuff again and again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool, man. And I discovered a lot of new music, and a lot of people, K Tronada came out of SoundCloud, Kiefer, another producer that I like, and like, yeah, a lot of people. It's interesting, man. And then some people made the jump to Spotify and things like that, whereas some people didn't, and they kind of missed out because they hadn't made that leap to other platforms, which is interesting.
Yeah. In a similar way where you saw a lot of people that were famous on Vine.
Yeah.
And then Vine went away, and it's like, where are these people? What happened?
Yeah, that's it, man.
Like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. They didn't really do any long-term career things.
Yeah.
And I guess with that in mind, for you, you've built an entire career off this, which is something that not everybody who does SoundCloud, I don't know, did SoundCloud. I sound like an old man. I posted to the YouTube. Like anybody who was a quote unquote SoundCloud artist or whatever, you're one who has made a long-term career out of it. At what point did you feel like this is my thing that I do now, rather than, oh, this is fun to just post to SoundCloud?
I think as I got a manager and I kind of started doing shows and stuff like that, and things were taking off, that was when I was kind of like, okay, it's still kind of just something that I do. It's always just been something that I do, but it's kind of strange, the evolution of like becoming who I am today. Like as an artist, it's kind of, I didn't plan it. It kind of just happened. And I'm still surprised, Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, I think the same thing kind of happened with Wolfpack, where it started as this kind of YouTube act and an internet band that didn't really have intentions. Like Jack's the band leader. Jack, I don't think had intentions of touring and doing a bunch of festivals and, being a big band or anything. Yeah. It was just this internet thing that got big on the internet. And then all of a sudden, oh, I guess we got to do shows, and people are asking us to tour and play festivals. And now there's these expectations, and that's fine. That's cool. I mean, what do you expect when you do something really well and people latch onto it?
Yeah.
I definitely relate to you in the sense where, I don't know, it's just what we do. We just make an album every year, and it's like the thing, and we get together, and it still in some ways feels like the same it's been for years, but it just happens to now be in front of thousands of people.
Yeah, it's exactly the same for me, man. It really wasn't very planned. And I never dreamed of being a musician. I just loved making music, and it was something I did. And then it just grew from that. I think I don't think of myself as very ambitious, but I think I have a hunger to make more music, and I really love doing that. So I'm always kind of thinking about the next project. I finish an album, then I'm straight onto the next thing. Because that's just, there's always something that's exciting me that's new, whether that's a new song or a new genre or something,
Absolutely. So, I'm the same way. So you mentioned having a manager pretty early on. I know there's a lot of people, I don't know if you get this question online a lot or just in person, I guess, but people ask all the time, oh, when should I get a booking agent? When should I get a manager? Yeah. When should I go and try to get a deal with a record label? What is your approach to those things? Because you've done it from literally in your bedroom at your parents' house to now where you're selling out huge rooms and charting on Billboard and everything. I'm
very lucky that I have an amazing manager who kind of just sent me an email one day and said, let's go for a coffee, and met up with him. And then he kind of steered my career and sort of helped me understand everything from then till now. And he's really good because he doesn't push me to do stuff that I don't want to do, but we have a bit of push and pull in terms of me not wanting to do stuff, him saying you should do this because it might be good for this and that, So I think it can be really important and valuable to have a manager from an early stage, actually, but you don't necessarily need one if you have a clear vision and you're just doing your thing, I think that will happen. Yeah, man. And labels, like I've never really, I kind of release my projects through label services. So I've got my own label, right? Which is called Beyond the Groove, and the label services, put money into the releases, help kind of promote the albums, come up with ideas that way. So I'm kind of an independent artist, but with the infrastructure to help promote the albums and things like that. And that works for me.
Yeah.
Because there's no one telling me what kind of music to make or what kind of...
Yeah.
You guys,
and I think for the people that are listening, Wolfpack is independent and I'm independent, and there's Wolf Records. I have my own label imprint, but for those for the people that are listening who don't quite understand what that is, basically, if you're an indie artist, you're just releasing albums yourself. The other option is you go with a record label. Sometimes there's independent record labels, sometimes major labels. There's been this sort of thing where you put an album out, the record label will give you an advance of however many thousands of dollars to make your album. They recoup the money, and then you start making maybe a 50% royalty on that. But if you go with a label services or sometimes a distribution deal, you still own your album, but a major or sometimes even independent label will use their distribution arm and then take a much smaller percentage of that. Who is the label that you're working with on that?
So Cobalt.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so Able. Nice. I like working with them.
That's great. So you've had the same manager since basically the beginning.
Yeah, same manager for about 6, I think maybe 7 years. 6-7 years. And
cool.
He's
that's great.
Yeah, we're really good friends, and he's quite young as well, so it's quite nice to kind of grow our careers to grow together. Have you got a manager? Yeah. You've got a manager, haven't you?
I have a manager now, yes, which has been great. I've had a manager for a year and a half.
Yeah,
and I honestly didn't know what it would do for me. I mean, for some people, it's really important to have a manager early on if they don't have the business sense, the vision. There's certain types of personalities that really need a manager, and certain ones that can get away for a long time without needing one. And I finally got to the point where it was like, I think a manager would really help. And they promised that the percentage that they would take, they promised that they would help bring in more than the percentage they would take of my current trajectory. And that's been great. That's cool. And that's what managers do. They help you along in your career, and they help, like you're saying, figure out which things to do or not do.
I think I'm the kind of personality who really benefits from having a manager.
Sure.
I'm not interested in going to industry meetings and things like that, and do all the kind of the classic music industry kind of talk rubbish for an hour. I don't know. My manager's amazing at that, and I trust him to smash that.
That's great. So then you can focus on the creative side.
Exactly.
So speaking of the creative side and who you are and where you find your creativity, when did you feel like you found your thing, your voice as a musician or even as a guitarist?
I think it's always evolving. It's weird because it's not something it didn't kind of arrive one day. It was like something that has evolved over time and is still changing. And it's funny what people, because it takes, you work on an album and then it gets released like 7-8 months later. Often what people think is Tom Misch sound is not where I am now. So like it might be an outdated kind of version of what I'm into. And there's I guess most people might think of me as the geography Tom Misch, because that's where they're at and that's what they're listening to right now. But there's kind of the evolution has moved along. And I guess it comes, but my kind of core sound comes from all those early influences and stuff, and mostly being ear trained and stuff. I don't know any theory. I've always hated that side of thing, like the intellectual side of music. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of limited what I can play, maybe, to just using my ear at all times. So I don't know.
But I think using your ear has given you a certain freedom.
A certain freedom, yeah. Like
when we've played together, I've seen you raise your eyebrow and just try sounds rather than, that's a D7 or that's a D flat 9 chord. So I have these shapes to pull from.
Yeah.
It's like, what's this sound? What's this paint color that I can just throw at this thing.
Exactly, yeah. And it's always references. I'm always trying to reference stuff. So stuff that I'm into musically. I think that's where most of my inspiration comes from is like referencing something that I heard in like an Isley Brothers record. Like I like to say some guitar stuff going on there, you know, and just throwing in these different references and stuff but that's subconscious, you know. Like if you play me something, I might think, oh, this is what I think could work with that. Like a reference from something, you know.
That's cool. And I think that's another cool thing that you get from working with other people is you might play some sort of hip hop R&B thing and I'll immediately start thinking of, I don't know, an early Prince tune or, you know, somebody else might listen to it and think, oh man, there's this Thelonious Monk record from 1978 that whatever, or somebody else might think of a Dr. Dre record or something.
Collaboration is so amazing because you do these things, you think of it, you know, when you're working with someone in the room, their energy will bring out something different in your playing. You're like, you had the reference there, but you might not have played that or drawn from that reference otherwise, I feel like. Yeah. So like me collaborating with Yusuf on this record has steered my journey as a musician, you know, in terms of my influences. You know, I've been inspired by that project because it's brought out something different in me as an artist.
Yeah. You know? All right, this is some good conversation. I got to remind you though, have you guys not gone to that Neural DSP website yet? You got to go check it out. Use that 30% off coupon, Wong. That's my last name. And while you're there, check out the Archetype Cory Wong plugin. I guarantee you, if you are looking for good, clean, or edge of breakup tones, this is the plugin for you. There's 3 different amps, a pedal board, EQ, 3 different cabs. Come on! You can use it live. You can use it in the studio. There's that 14-day free trial. Check out all the plugins and let me know which one's your favorite. What do you think are the types of projects or songs that are best left to collaboration? And what are the things best done by yourself?
In terms of like writing a song, do you mean like in terms of...
I guess as far as writing a song, but also just putting out an artistic piece.
Yeah, I think in terms of collaboration, as a producer, I always want to have the final touches on things. So whether that's the mix or like, for example, for the music I'm working on right now, it's my next solo. I think it's going to be an EP. It's more songwriter based. I'm singing on it. And I'm working with this guy called Miles, who's an amazing producer. And I'm doing the stuff at his studio, right, on his computer. And then I just want to make sure I get the stems and I kind of shape it in my world by myself. So I think that's important that I have that time to kind of make sure everything, you know, just to kind of go through and make sure it's cohesive with my catalogue and the journey that I've had so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for me, it's always that kind of final stage. I want to make sure I'm doing my thing.
So the collaboration to kind of get the inspiration and draw different influences, but by yourself, it's good to, at the end, just be able to make sure that it fits the through line of your career and catalog.
Yeah, exactly. And generally, I want to do the vocals by myself because sometimes I just do like 100 takes. I want to have that time to like come through and, you know.
Yeah, so you're not somebody who's like, I need to nail it, take one, purist of one take through. You're fine comping 100 takes.
I'm fine comping, man. I'm fine comping. Like I remember I had a session with Robert Glasper before lockdown, and I was really excited about the session because I've been a big fan for years. And then at the end of the session, it was just he was on piano, I was on guitar. We were jamming out on something, and it was like a 10-minute jam. I loved it, but I knew that I wanted to try it again because like I'd messed up a few bits, and I reckon it could. Like the idea was so strong, and he was like, "No, man, I don't do like second takes. That's that's it." And I was just like, no, I really wanted to like do one more. But so, some people just don't, I guess. It's that jazz thing.
Yeah. Everybody's got a different flow.
Yeah.
Different flow.
Are you a one take man or are you
I like to find a balance. You know, from the stuff that we've done together, I like to do stuff in the room.
Yeah.
And just play it straight down. Make sure that there's an anchor take.
Yeah.
85% of that take was exactly it. And maybe there's some little nudgies here and there if I need to push something around. And then if it's like, okay, take 4 had some really good stuff in it. There was a lot of magic. Let's make sure we get that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, man. I feel like as I progressed, I'm definitely trying to give my recordings more life and make them more organic. So less loop based, but more like recording a song all the way because then you have that. It feels more alive, that fully live thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something different about speaking a mantra 100 times in a row rather than just playing the same mantra recording back 100 times.
Yeah, definitely.
As far as a producer and player, you're such a producer, writer. You've got a great studio flow. Do you feel like you get your kicks off still when you're on tour? Or do you feel like you get completely out of that flow?
I get a completely different kick off tour. I think first of all, it's like, it just feels so good to be traveling, be out in the world, you know, out of the studio. First of all, that's amazing. I love that aspect of it, and seeing new places. And then there's the whole, which, yeah, it's amazing, man. It's funny because I was very much just a bedroom studio person. And then I started playing shows. It wasn't something that came naturally to me, but I think I've just, you know, I love playing guitar, and I've kind of, playing shows is playing guitar. So it's cool, man.
Yeah.
And there's room in my shows to improvise and stuff. So it's always fun. It's always different.
Yeah. I've seen some videos and it looks great. It looks like a really fun show. I have yet to see you live, but the videos I've seen look awesome.
Likewise, man. Likewise. Yours is very fun, man.
Well, you keep mentioning and referring to yourself as a bedroom producer, which I like that term.
I do.
That's a fun term.
Yeah.
But as a bedroom producer who plays guitar, when I think of bedroom producer and guitar player, I don't see somebody who's got 3 boutique amps that are like $40,000 amps with all the greatest microphones cranked to 10.
Yeah.
Just because you're not doing that in your bedroom. So what do you usually use? Because, you know, this is a guitar podcast. What do you do as far as recording your guitar, and then when you play live, how you recreate your sound?
So initially my guitar sound, up until Geography, has been the Logic 9 Guitar Amp Pro, which is I'm now on Logic X, which is the latest version of Logic, which they don't actually have the Logic 9 Guitar Amp. But I've managed to hack Logic, so I now get it on Logic X, and it's kind of like a very clean. I was just I run a Strat. I've got a John Mayer Fender Strat, which I run it through an Apogee interface, which has a very clear, it doesn't add much color to the sound, so it's quite transparent. And that kind of just became my sound. It's not because, it's kind of out of convenience that it became my sound, because I didn't have the mics, I couldn't be asked to mic up the amp and stuff. So that became my sound, man. And then what kind of music I started miking stuff up was going for more of that organic sound. So yeah, man, Guitar Amp Pro 9 was my thing.
I like that. It saves a lot of money too, because it comes free with Logic.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you bring that on the road? Do you bring a laptop and just plug into that when you play live?
No. So I started playing with an amp for live shows, doing the conventional way. And then about a year ago, I wanted to try Kemper, because I realized I could profile my Logic 9 Pro amp through Kemper. So I was trying to get that sound, but it just didn't quite sound the same as the Logic amp. So I tried Kemper for a bit, and now I'm going back to amps. I want to have proper amps for the live show, I think. Just because I'm more in headspace wise, I'm listening to more like 70s records, 80s records, and I love just like, you can hear the room, you know, you can hear the amp buzz, and you don't really get that with the Logic 9 clean amp. So it's just different headspace.
For many of us that have gotten our start in the age of the internet and in the age of digital recording, or not growing up not growing up starting recording on all analog gear.
Yeah.
We have a different approach, because I think many of us are just fine using Logic amps. Like, I've used the Logic amps for a lot of stuff. I'm cool using plugins. I love using plug-in amps, especially because I'm a clean guitar guy. So it's easy for me to do. But the keyboard world has embraced computers in a live setting, running Ableton sessions or Main Stage or that thing. But it's interesting that the guitar world has not yet adopted having a laptop on stage for sounds, because you're saying you're trying to get your digital Kemper to model your digital Logic amp. Why wouldn't you have just used your Apogee and your laptop to use Logic 9 Live?
Man, I don't really know, but I think because it's less secure, I guess. Like the laptop could, Kempers are kind of, you know. But you got a point there, man. I should have just plugged into. The apology.
I've done it a couple times and it's worked amazing. I've never had issues anytime I've just plugged in.
So you just plug into the amp, straight into the PA?
Yeah. Well, if I'm using in-ears, I'll do it. If I'm on wedges or if I'm, if it's a throw and go festival, I definitely like to use an amp. But if I'm on ears, I will sometimes just use my Apollo Twin. That's the little interface that I use right into my computer, and the left and right out of the Apollo. It's my guitar amp right there. But I guess, there's more things to go wrong, or did I forget to plug the power cable into the laptop and then it dies halfway through the set? But
yeah, man, I think it's literally just a security thing that Kemper is quite good, and they do have some good sounds. They've modeled some sounds that are really like convincing, some of the in-stock stuff. And then my pedal board kind of just became a Kemper box, and I had like the Kemper effects, but maybe it's just a headspace thing, but I just like I'm just in an analog headspace right now. I like having.
That's great.
Okay,
you brought up, you have the Fender John Mayer signature Strat, which is dope. Okay, I saw a freaking video of you jamming with John Mayer at Crossroads Festival. So I have two things here. You played the Eric Clapton Crossroads Guitar Festival. That must have been insane. And then I saw John Mayer sitting in on your Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was...
That's incredible.
That was one of the craziest days of my life. That day, Eric Clapton invited me to play the festival, and obviously said yes. And then at the airport, I get a message from John Mayer sends me a DM, and he says, "Do you want me to jump up for your set at Crossroads?" And obviously, like, he's a hero of mine. My neck clicks.
Of course.
I clicked my neck because I think I was just so excited about the whole thing that my neck clicked. So I had like a crooked neck for 2 days before the show. Which was really, really painful, man. That wasn't good. Yeah, that whole experience from being at that festival with all those like legendary guitarists, man, and then John jumping up, and it was just crazy. It's crazy. I met Eric Clapton. He said like, "Thanks so much for coming down," and it was just a mental day. Yeah, I fully had a full-on calm down after that experience.
Really?
Yeah, for like 2 days. But no, it's really cool, man. And it gave me a appreciation for blues music, because most of the festival is blues, kind of like American blues and stuff, which I've never really listened to too much. But just being in that environment with all these kind of like cowboys was really cool, man. Yeah.
Cowboys, that's funny.
They're proper cowboys.
I was just going to say, I was trying to think, like, obviously, UK culture and American culture influence each other. And at this point in the digital age, we all influence everything.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had a global mindset from the beginning because you got to start in the internet age? Or did you feel like local kid making music in their bedroom?
I felt like local. Yeah, I felt very London, Southeast London, local kid making music in my bedroom, because I was just putting this stuff online, and it was just like getting big plays. I wasn't really touring, at the start or doing any of that, So I think I felt quite, and I was young, man. I was really young.
Yeah, but I think the idea of you putting your music out there to the world is, and getting your start that way is kind of unique. It's different than, well, it's not unique anymore, I guess, but it's different than a lot of people got their start, where the first things that they do to put themselves out there are playing local gigs in front of 20, 30 people that literally can only be people from their hometown.
Yeah.
In your case, you start, and in Wolfpack's case as well, is starting by putting stuff out there for the world to see.
Yeah, I guess so. But it wasn't big numbers at first. In fact, it didn't feel like the world was listening at first, because it was just like my mates on SoundCloud. And then it was just that process, of just like, then I got a Majestic Casual, that YouTube channel. They sort of like increased my following, and just like little things along the way.
Sure.
And now it feels like it's kind of like a worldwide thing,
Yeah. When you see other musicians on Instagram, on YouTube, anywhere online, what is it that makes certain musicians stand out to you, or certain artists stand out to you in today's environment?
I think when it comes to singing, having an original voice, I think you just hear so much of like people with the same kind of like they just sound a bit like this person. And I think it feels quite saturated, like voices these days, in terms of new music. So that's always really nice when I hear a singer who I'm just like, that just sounds so fresh. It just sounds like them, And that can be really difficult. That can be difficult because I've gone through that process of trying to find my own voice to, to kind of work out what do I sound like? How do I want to sound? Because it's almost a choice as well. So yeah, that's something. And then, interesting production, man. I love production and stuff like that. And then, just what I'm into right now, 70s stuff and like a lot of Brazilian music. I love a lot of Brazilian funk and soul and stuff that references from that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Is there anything that you're working on right now? You said you're working on an EP, a new thing. Oh, by the way, hold on. I do have a question. You have EPs, you have albums, and you refer to things as beat tapes or mixtapes.
Oh, yeah.
How do you define those three things as different? Because I, myself, am like, how is a beat tape different than an album? Or how is a mixtape different than an album?
Yeah. There's no difference really, but with the beat tapes, it's just like I started making beats and I just thought it's not me singing on it. It's not songs. I don't really think of it as an album, It's kind of almost like a less formal approach to a project. When I'm making beats, it's kind of, it's a different headspace, And then I just thought, I've made beat tape 1 half, I'll call the next one beat tape 2. And it's just that. And then I'll always just have this sequel. And then the stuff where I'm writing songs is more an album sort of thing. But I haven't done a mixtape. I haven't done a mixtape. I've only done beat tapes and EPs and albums.
Okay, how do you define a mixtape different than a beat tape? I
don't really know. I guess I feel like a rapper might do like a mixtape, which they wouldn't want to call an album. It would be like, if you're like playing down your album, you'll call it a mixtape, maybe.
Sure. Yeah. You give yourself less pressure.
Less pressure, yeah.
Yeah, you're downplaying it. Yeah, I get it. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, man. Nice guitar, man, to the left of you, or the right of you, that red one.
One?
Yeah, that's funky.
That's a baritone guitar from this builder in Italy.
Sick, man.
It's a Bocci baritone guitar. It's really cool. This guy, Bruno Bocci, he hand makes all of his instruments. And he's an instrument maker and a manager for this Italian artist. And I was doing a recording session for this Italian artist, and this Bocci guy was like, hey, man, how about instead of paying you your day rate, I give you half, this X amount of money, plus I give you this guitar.
Sick, man.
It's like, yeah, this thing is dope.
Yeah,
and I used that. We used that for the Fearless Flyers album, the first album. Because
nice,
Mark
man.
Lettieri...
Oh, yeah,
Mark Lettieri was coming from somewhere, and he couldn't fly with his baritone guitar, so I just brought mine, and he ended up using this Bocci baritone guitar. He fell in love with it and was like, you got to put me in touch with this guy. And then Bruno built Mark another one.
Wow. Looks awesome, man.
Yeah.
What do you tune it down to? What's the bottom note?
Normally a baritone is B to B, but I go A to A on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's nice and low, not in the metal way, but in the... Like it's kind of that low, left of middle C, or like couple octaves left of middle C sort of thing. It's nice.
Nice, man.
And I only ever see you play that John Mayer Strat. Is that your only guitar?
No. I've started playing a Gibson 3-3. What was it? Gibson 3-3 something. I'm so bad when it comes to like model numbers and things like that. It's a hollow body Gibson that I love.
Is it the big one?
Vintage.
335?
333. I've got it here. You could probably tell me what it is.
I will be able to tell you. And if not me, Jason will be able to tell you. Yeah, it's a 335. Got the Bigsby.
I like the sound of it acoustically. So I've been instead of plugging it in, I've just been miking it up, and I get a really interesting sound.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, for people listening, Tom's gear thing is funny to me. I like this. I'm not putting you on blast here, but Tom showed up at the session carrying his guitar without a case and the pedal board not in a case and the cables just dangling down. I saw you get out of the Uber in London. You set the Strat on the street, then open the trunk and grab the pedal board.
No.
Like, bro, you need it. Like, do you need a case?
Was it not in a case?
It was not in a case. I don't know what you were doing.
That's weird, man. I would have thought I would have brought a case. But yeah, that's not good, man. That's not good.
That was funny.
Yeah, I can't remember why I didn't have a guitar case that day. Very strange.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You know, I've always wanted to try doing a tour where I just carry my guitar and no case. I walk onto the airplane, put the guitar up in the overhead bin. No case. It's a Stratocaster. It's resilient. It can handle it.
Man. That'd be
always
interesting.
Wanted to try that.
You get that vintage wear and tear that people pay a lot for. It'd be interesting, man.
I might need to bring some tools to adjust the neck every gig, but it could be fun. Well, the last thing I want to talk about is when we first met. People have asked me, and when I was telling people that I was going to interview you, they said, why don't you guys talk a little bit about how you guys recorded that Cosmic Sands tune when we first met?
Yeah.
And, you know, giving people some sense of what happened was Tom and I connected on Instagram, and then you said, hey, I'm in Santa Monica at this Airbnb that happens to have a little recording space in the back. I swung by with my Apollo and my laptop, and we just both plugged directly in and recorded the tune. It
was cool, man. I didn't know what we were gonna do, but it was wicked.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit from your side what you remember and how what was your expectation and how did you feel coming out of that and while we were there?
I mean, I'm a big fan of your playing, so it was just wicked to jam. And just and I don't get a chance to actually play with many guitarists actually.
Sure.
Like when I studied, I was only guitarist in my year, so there was no there's no kind of bouncing off, and it was cool, man. I think we just did. I have my pedal board with me? I think I did.
You did have your pedal board, but it didn't work because your power supply was set for UK power and you couldn't plug into the 110.
That's it. So I basically didn't have my pedal board with me, and we were just, I found that kind of wah sound on Logic. Well, I think we just started jamming, didn't we?
Yeah.
It came together very, very organically. Yeah. It was cool. And then you just kind of took it away and finished it, man. But it was fun, man. I love doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's cool because we each got our production things. We were working in Logic. I watched you get your guitar sound with just Logic plugins. Yeah. I got my guitar sound with just Logic plugins.
Yeah, man.
And we just went.
It was fun. We'll do it again, for sure.
Yes, I would love to.
And we were talking about doing a little show, weren't we? We were going to do a little guitar duet thing or something. Didn't we speak about that?
We did speak about that. You said, man, cool. I just want to play guitar. I don't want to have to sing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to have to sing, man. That's it. So we got to do that. Maybe
man.
we should do a weekend in the US and a weekend in London.
Yeah.
Our own version of the G3 experience, but it's
definitely, man.
You, me, and like a drummer and a bass player or something would be fun.
Yeah, man. Or just do a little like busking. I just want to busk, man. Play outdoors. Just get 2 amps.
Now
and do a little,
we're talking.
That could be pretty dope.
I'm into that. All right, you let me know as soon as people can start going in public again. We'll have to do that.
We'll do it.
I'm down with that.
Great.
Cool. Well, Tom, thanks so much for joining us today. This is really fun. Stoked to have you on.
Yeah, man. Cheers. Thanks for today. Peace.
There you have it. Tom Misch, everybody. There are certain people whose personality shines through in their talking and in the way that they play their instrument/music. Tom is definitely one of those cats, as you can hear. I would say that I'm one of those cats. I think you get a good idea of my personality when you hear me talk, but also in my playing as well. So check out the collaborations I have with Tom. Cosmic Sands. We did that on my album, Motivational Music for the Syncopated Soul. And then also he played on my tune, Smooth Move, off of my new album, just came out, the Striped album. So check it out, and we'll see you next time. Peace!